Hey, this is Harry Hughes. I was in my studio and I decided to shoot a free video for you. Now in this video you are going to learn to vastly improve the sound quality of your mixes easily and simply. And seeing as a lot of videos out there are quite confusing, I decided to make this free video as simple as possible for you. So let's go ahead and you're going to learn a really cool mixing technique. Now the major problem that a lot of producers are experiencing is that their mixes sound terrible when they play them outside of the studio. I'll tell you about a man called Ben. He mixed the track in his studio and it sounded amazing. He was so ecstatically happy. He burnt it onto a CD which he then listened to in his car. It didn't sound the same to Ben. The vocal was too quiet, the highs were piercing, and the bass had disappeared. He was so disappointed because it sounded great in his studio. Now the first thing I had to tell Ben was not to worry, because we've all been there. Every engineer, however successful, has had this sort of experience before. Now, the main cause of a bad mix is a bad balance of volume levels. And the first step to having your records sound great on the radio or in the clubs is getting a good volume balance. So what if we had a list of how loud every single part of the mix should be? Then we'd be able to balance it. Well, that is exactly what I have made for you and what I'm going to give you for free. Now many very well-respected engineers have stated in the past that they have a framework, a system which they use to base their balance levels around. Lee DiCarlo, who's worked with Aerosmith and John Lennon, has said, "I'll get the snare drum hitting at around -5. Benny Fasone, who has worked with Ricky Martin and Tony Braxton, has said, "I'll start with the kick at -5. And Don Smith, who's worked with the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan, has said, "I'll start with the bass at -7. Now the thing to remember with the techniques I'm about to share with you is that they're meant as a guideline. You're still going to have to listen, use your ears and adjust these techniques to suit the way your music sounds. In fact, I'll say this again, you're still going to have to use your ears. Now this is what makes the difference between a good record and a great record. Now firstly, I need you to take a second now and check your email inbox, as I've emailed you some files that we're going to have to use. So pause the video now, check your email inbox and follow the instructions there. Now come back when you've done that. Okay, welcome back. By now you will have installed Roger Nichols Inspector and downloaded the volume template sheets. And to begin with, I'm going to teach you how to use these templates. Start with setting up the level meter on your main output. I'm in Pro Tools and I'm putting it in as an insert plugin. Now solo each instrument and match the volume to that on the sheet. Have a look at the volume written down on the sheet and take a note if it's RMS or peak. Now adjust the volume of the fader to match the volume written on the sheet as closely as possible. Simply match the volume levels of your elements to the corresponding RMS or peak values. You can find the RMS values here and the peak values here. And now you have the basic framework of a well-balanced track. It really is as simple as that to get a bass level mix. Remember to still use your ears though. This is just a bass level mix. Trust your ears and instinct as to where you go from here with your mix. Now as we know, getting a good balance is the first step to getting a good mix. Now let's consider why. If we have a house track, for example, the level of the kick directly relates to how the track will influence us. If it's too quiet, then people simply won't dance. If on the other hand we have a singer-songwriter playing his guitar and singing, and the voice is too quiet, we won't get the proper emotional connection with him. You're probably also wondering about the RMS and peak thing. Now, we use two particular methods to measure volume, RMS and peak. Now, peak is the volume at any one particular time, and it allows us to measure the volumes of quick sounds, such as drum hits. And RMS is an average volume reading, and is used to measure longer sounds like electric guitar, bass, or vocals. And consider the name which we give to this complete process. It's called mixing. Mixing the right proportion of each element or track together. Now this comes down to volume. And this particular method of balancing levels has proven to be very helpful to my students as a sort of framework for learning to mix. Many have said that they initially felt lost when approaching a mix, but this template gave them a starting point, almost like putting the notes on the keyboard. And when you have this starting point of a well-balanced mix, it's very easy to go from here and put your own personal touches to it, being safe in the knowledge that your track is well balanced. This removes confusion and simplifies the whole process. But remember, the framework is only meant to be used as a starting point. Now, the whole beauty of this is the ease of which it allows you to mix a record. Now you can apply this to your own work and see just how much it is going to improve the quality. And also it will simplify the way you approach mixing. I'm sure you'll be making great records in no time at all. Remember Ben from earlier on? Well, I gave Ben the volume sheets and immediately he applied them to his mixes. Already the quality of his work improved vastly. His mixes had that extra element of professionalism which made him so proud. So proud that he started giving CDs out to his friends. One of his friends loved his CD so much, he gave it to one of his friends, who was in a band. The band was so impressed they asked Ben to record them. Ecstatically, Ben agreed. Now this was Ben's first paying job. He pat himself on the back and glowed in the fact that he had taken the first step towards professional music production. Now what I want you to do now is very, very simple. I want you to go and use this technique. Use this template to improve your mixes, and then send me an email telling me how well you're doing. I look forward to hearing from you.